China has made deep ingress into Bhutan's territory, according to satellite image accessed exclusively by India Today. And this is a 12-kilometer deep ingress where the Chinese have not only gone into Bhutanese territory, but they've also made a bridge on a river, which is a cause for grave concern. This also means that China is now 12 kilometers closer to the crucial Siliguri corridor, or India's chicken's neck. Several analysts say this is crossing a red line. This is an India Today exclusive.
Chinese aggression continues not just in eastern Ladakh, but as latest satellite images indicate, even in Bhutan. Latest images accessed exclusively by India Today show that the Chinese have grabbed land near the Amo Chu river inside Bhutan.
China has surreptitiously constructed a 12 kilometers road inside Bhutanese territory along the Amo Chu river on the river slope of the Doklam Plateau, thus effectively crossing the Indian red lines that were laid down somewhere in 2017 and clarified to the Chinese.
India Today's OSINT team investigated the progress of PLA incursions in Bhutan that have a direct impact on India's strategic interests in the area known as the Siliguri corridor or Chicken's Neck. Latest satellite images provided by Maxar Technologies show that China has built a bridge across the Amo Chu river. The bridge is about 45 meters long and 6 meters wide.
In fact, China has been practicing the strategy of expansionism, and this time he is attempting this with a tiny state like Bhutan. India wants that Bhutan should settle China border issue so that it can further define the transaction between the three nations in Doklam area.
The satellite images show that China is laying claim to large river tracts in the Yatung Valley. The high-resolution image of October 28, 2020 shows a Chinese road being surreptitiously constructed almost 12 kilometers beyond the Tibet-Bhutan border.
This construction is not restricted to areas around Doklam, but similar model integrated villages have come up in places opposite Arunachal Pradesh and Sikkim across the line of actual control. These are nothing but an extension of military cantonments to make sure China has enhanced military infrastructure close to the border areas. With Ankit Kumar and camera person Ajay Kumar, Abhishek Bhalla in New Delhi for India Today.
We have two of the finest voices on what's happening in China joining me on India First. We have Colonel Vinayak Bhatt. He's a satellite image expert. He gets this story exclusively for India Today. We also have Professor Brahma Chilani, who keeps a hawk eye on all developments between India and China. But Colonel Bhatt, to you first. Now, when you analyze these images, you remember what happened in Doklam in 2017 when China actually retreated. But post 2017, what are the changes and to what extent, sir?
Well, Gaurav, China has never retreated in the true sense at all. They never retreat. They always go ahead, send the PLA ahead, occupy areas, and then they claim it later. They never claim areas beforehand. They have always done it so. Even in Bhutan, they are trying to do the same thing. They have never claimed this area officially. Although they have sent and constructed this road almost 12 kilometers, which is minimum 10 meters wide. At most places, it is almost 20 meters wide. That road itself is so very large. 12 kilometers is a huge area. And along that, they have constructed two villages. One is of 30 houses and another one probably of 45 houses, which is likely to come up. They have cleared illegally the forests of Bhutan. They have, reclaimed the river, which is Amo Chu, and the area has been leveled. They have constructed a bridge which is going across to the east and cleared the forest in that area also. This clearly crosses the Indian red line, which was laid down in 2017 during the Doklam talks, whatever we've had with the Chinese, officially or unofficially.
Professor Brahmachalani, okay, what do you make of all these developments? Is this crossing a red line as far as India is concerned, especially when it comes to the Siliguri corridor, and what should India's response be, sir?
First, let's look at the bigger picture. Expansionism is in the Chinese Communist DNA. Under Mao, China more than doubled its territorial size, making it the world's fourth largest nation by area. Now under Xi Jinping, expansionism has expanded even to territorial encroachments on Bhutanese land. And what's happening in Bhutan, they're doing the same thing in Nepal. They're building villages inside Nepal, in the border areas of Nepal. And then if you look at what's happening in Ladakh since April, so we are seeing a pattern in the Himalayas.
Yes.
China quietly encroaching on the territories of its neighbors. It's expanding its frontiers. And what we are now seeing in Doklam has a major security implication for India, given the fact that Doklam overlooks the tiny Siliguri corridor, the so-called chicken neck, which connects northeast India with the rest of India.
Yes.
So given the security implications, it's time for India to address the situation. The Chinese in recent days have announced a decision to build a historic giant dam on the Brahmaputra. Now we are seeing satellite imagery of their construction in Doklam near the India border, construction that threatens India's Siliguri corridor. Yet we don't hear anything from the Indian government. It's time to speak up. It's time to address these issues.
Absolutely. And not just in a cloaked manner, not just the way it's done, maybe from Kashi when you call out expansionist forces. Is it time for government of India? The Prime Minister has done it repeatedly. Is it time for India to put it out in black and white so that every Indian knows this is what China's up to? China clearly no friend of ours, Colonel Bhatt, because what's happening on the reverse slopes of Doklam is a cause for grave concern. You've scanned that high-resolution satellite imagery, which seems to indicate there are more than just gun positions and combat trenches, communication trenches that are coming up there.
Yes, Gaurav. They have also hardened their headquarters, which is likely to be on the reverse slope. And they've used cement concrete for that particular purpose. So whatever tentage was there, that has been removed. And now permanent structures have come up and they're all camouflaged under the trees. Nothing can be seen from overhead imagery, although a trained eye can really notice all these things, what are happening in that area. But what Mr. Brahmachalani said was about the dams, which is very worrying for India. There are about 11 dams which are coming up, and as a lower riparian state, India has the right to have the data of the entire river. But China, even after India is paying them almost 80 lakhs a month, or maybe more than that, they have not given any data since last 2 decades. They keep giving some or the other reason for not giving. Sometimes they say the instruments have, gone under floods and we are unable to give the data, that kind of thing.
Washed away.
And this particular dam at Meetok, which is likely to come up, suddenly we've seen in the last 2 years or so, Meetok town has become quite huge. And now the road, which is 219, which is joining Meetok with Ningchi, it is almost able to get anything and everything into Meetok. So in case they construct a dam which is already proposed there,
so
we really don't know how big it is going to be. But if it is going to be very big, then it is really
water as a weapon. There are two aspects to this, Professor Brahmachalani. Oh, absolutely. It will. It will. If 11 dams are being built on the Brahmaputra in China, 3 have already been built. Professor Brahmachilani, is it now clear as day that China wants to use water as a weapon in times to come, either starve us or flood us?
Well, China is pursuing a multi-pronged strategy to corner India, to ensure that India does not emerge as a peer rival of China. So it's mounting terrestrial aggression in Ladakh and elsewhere. It is mounting maritime aggression in India's maritime backyard, and it's waging water wars against India. What we are seeing on the Brahmaputra, and especially the latest plan to build a giant dam bigger than Three Gorges Dam even, right on the India border at Meetok County, is nothing but a water war against India. And if you look at the Mekong River, the Mekong is the lifeline of Southeast Asia. How China has used upstream dams. It has built a cascade of giant dams just before the Mekong enters Southeast Asia, and it's now causing droughts in Southeast Asia by hoarding water upstream. So we have seen how China uses water even against friendly countries of Southeast Asia, and it will certainly use water as a weapon against India and also water as a weapon against Bangladesh, because let's not forget that the country located furthest downstream on the Brahmaputra, the one that will bear the maximum impact, is Bangladesh. And Bangladesh impact will mean impact on India.
Absolutely. India and Bangladesh.
That will bring more refugees from Bangladesh into India.
Oh, absolutely. China using water as a weapon. So water wars in times to come, and you cannot discount anything when it comes to China, because look at the concerted effort that's happening in Arunachal Pradesh, in Sikkim, in Bhutan. Remember, China is also talking about these 5 fingers it wants to, and Tibet being the palm of the hand, so it wants to use up all this area, including Ladakh, and that's a cause for grave concern for India. But what's happening in Ladakh? China is facing serious setbacks in Ladakh, especially when it comes to high-altitude warfare, because its soldiers are not trained. India Today's Manjeet Singh Negi gets you this India Today exclusive.
It's one of the harshest climatic regions in the world to live in. Just breathing is a tough task in these heights of eastern Ladakh. But Indian troops, with their experience of manning the line of control and the heights of Kargil and Siachen, are coping with it much better than the Chinese, who are stationed across the line of actual control. From all indications, PLA troops are having a difficult time dealing with the bone-chilling temperatures. The extreme cold and high-speed winds have forced them to rotate frontline troops frequently. This while Indian troops are digging in there for longer periods.
The Indian soldier who is battle-hardened, who's fully acclimatized, fully trained, fully equipped, and he has the desire to fight for the cause of his motherland. He has that passion, he has that commitment. He knows he's fighting for a cause. It's his motherland that he has to defend. Unlike the Chinese soldier who's being pushed in to meet the greed of the Chinese leadership. And that is what makes all the difference.
India's foresight, keeping in mind the needs of the enhanced troop deployment in Ladakh in peak winter, has worked. Additional high-altitude winter clothing is helping troops battle the cold.
You don't just occupy a place and you're straight away fit for battle over there. You have to be familiar with your surroundings, familiar with your objective areas, familiar with people who are on your right, on your left. A lot of familiarity with the situation is required, and that would be lacking in case they are rotated so fast. And rotating troops would definitely have a deterioratory effect on such things.
Before the onset of winter, transport aircraft like the C-17 Globemasters and Chinook heavy-lift helicopters have ferried essential supplies to forward locations. But it's going to be a long winter, With no end to the stalemate for the Chinese, the enhanced winter deployment at the LAC might just become a permanent fixture. With Manjeet Negi in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
And India Today's Manjeet Singh Negi now joins me with the latest on the story. Manjeet, are soldiers at the line of control, especially with temperatures going to -25, -30 already in the higher reaches of Ladakh at 15,000 to 17,000 feet altitude? What's happening on our side and what's happening on the other side of the hill to the Chinese soldiers across the LAC?
Well, Gaurav, the Indian Army is prepared to brave the winter in the eastern Ladakh, while the Chinese seems to suffering from the bone-chilling temperature there. The scenes of the LAC show the Chinese soldiers are not being able to witness the harsh winter in the eastern Ladakh sector, as they are being rotated on the daily basis in the forward locations, whereas Indian troops are staying longer period at the same location. The Indian Army preparedness is to brave winter to be bolstered with the 19,000 extreme winter clothing for the troops.
Chinese soldiers having a tough time, Professor Brahma Chilani, but in your appreciation, does the heartless Communist Party of China care whether Chinese soldiers are being lost or suffering, or will they continue to remain deployed, and the real challenge will actually be through the winters and the coming summers?
The Chinese Communist Party treats human beings like dirt. I mean, their own citizens are expendable. So are their soldiers. And we have to realize that the Chinese Communist Party is determined to expand its frontiers at the expense of India. So we are faced with a situation where India has the world's most experienced army in hybrid mountain warfare. India's weakness is a risk-averse leadership. You know, India is a lamb state surrounded by wolf China and jackal Pakistan. And we have to realize that we are in a increasingly difficult situation, largely because we lack the political will to deal with our adversaries. War is not decided by aggregate military and economic capabilities alone. Military history attests to the fact that what is critical to any conflict, to any war, is leadership, political will, resoluteness, strategy, and tactics. And when we have very resolute adversaries, we need to deal with these adversaries with long-term planning.
We've seen this vis-a-vis Pakistan in terms of... Fair enough. With Pakistan, we've seen this in Balakot and surgical strike. But with China, perhaps we need to see much more of India's pushback, and it doesn't just have to be military. It can be economic, it can be political, because Colonel Bhatt, what we're watching on ground is Chinese deployed for the long haul in terms of the accommodation that's being set up for their soldiers, the roads that are coming up, the infrastructure that's coming up, and I'm specifically talking about the Ladakh region, sir.
Yes, Gaurav. Firstly, China must understand that India is a very well-trained and very well-experienced army, especially in high-altitude areas. We have fought wars and won them in Siachen Glacier and in Kargil also. And in Pangong Tso, the temperatures have just begun to go down. As late as 30th November, we've seen the satellite images. Little bit of Pangong Tso has frozen. The entire Pangong Tso is likely to freeze.
On the edges,
and that is the time it will show whether the Chinese are able to stand that kind of harsh winters or not. If their equipment, the containerized accommodations that they have brought up, will they survive or not? That only time will tell. Most likely they will not survive this winter.
Fair enough.
Gaurav.
But China remains a very devious country. They may withdraw, a tactical retreat for the winters, get back to comfortable locations, and then come back next summer. That is where India needs to be very, very, as Professor Brahmachelani very rightly points out, it's a wolf. China is a wolf. Pakistan is the jackal. But perhaps they'll realize that we are the tigers in this region. And I'm sorry if it sounds a little corny, but having seen the Indian Army operate in Kargil, and I reported that war 20 years ago, I've seen our soldiers on ground. How will they perform vis-a-vis China is another thing that we'll be talking about in greater detail in the days and weeks to come. But as always, Professor Brahmachelani and Colonel Vinayak Bhatt, many thanks for joining me here on this India First special. That is all I have time for. Many thanks for watching.
Hi everyone, Preeti Chaudhary here. Hope you like this video. For latest news and analysis, like and subscribe to the India Today YouTube channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated. Thank you for watching.